Hi everybody and welcome to the Walker's Guide. My name's Derek, behind the camera's Martin, and you join us today at Stock, also known as Stock Harvard. This is a little village in Essex, which is quite lovely to look at and walk around, which is what we're going to do. We're going to be heading away from this church though, out into the fields around, visiting a few points of interest before coming back here. The walk is starting in the car park next to All Saints Church, which is quite an interesting church. And actually really picturesque, but we're visiting here on our way back. Thank you for joining us. It's a nice cold winter's day and we're going for a nice walk. So let's grab our bags and head out. So on the green, just opposite the church, we've literally walked maybe 60 metres, is an old pump. And it's got a wooden body and metal hardware, but it's actually quite uncommon. It's got no markings on it, it's got no plaque, and it's very basic. But at one point, every single town and village would have the village pump. And it comes from the times when you didn't have running water to your house, and you were worried about things like cholera. This pump would have supplied water from a safe source, a well or an underground aquifer where you could get clean drinking water from. And this one was made to be really easy to use because it's got a heavy weight on the handle, so once you've brought it up, it assists you pushing it down. Really uncommon as well is the fact that you can actually move it still. Often you'll find that they're chained up or made to not be touched. It's lovely, it's decrepit, it's falling apart, and it's perfect. Normally they're cast iron. This one is made of wrought iron and of oak, and is quite a traditional piece of kit. After visiting the pump, we're walking down the track some more towards a little T-junction by a telephone pole. The trees on the green, if you're interested, are beeches. This time of year, it's the winter, there's no leaves. So after leaving the green, go up the little T-junction and up the small road. Remember to keep on the correct side of the road. It's quite wibbly wobbly, so you will find yourself crossing it a few times, and beware of traffic. It's not a busy road, but you do get the occasional vehicle, like Postman Pat. Remember to stay on the right unless you're on a curve, at which point you cross over to the left. Stay on the outside of the corners, and you'll see a footpath sign in front of you, and that's the footpath we're going to take. It goes off to the left. The footpath goes alongside the entrance to Rustin's, but when you start walking up the footpath, just turn around and have a look at that oak. It's quite majestic. Something you find on winter walks is how quiet it can be. In the summer, it's bird song, it's foxes barking, it's deer making noises. You even got the small insects and small animals making lots of noise. In the winter, the small insects are hibernating, the bigger animals are hunting silently, and the mist and the cloud can deaden the noise completely. Totally changes the atmosphere. But also, anyone who's got an open fire, the smell hangs in the air differently. There's just a total different feel to a winter walk. When you go through the gap in the hedge, there's two options, a left turn or a straight on. We're going straight on for now. After walking down the path, you'll be met with quite a stunning view in the summer. In the winter, it's a view across a valley. I can imagine summer would be quite stunning. On exiting the path, you'll be met with a Y junction, turning to the left and a turning to the right. We're going to take the turn to the right between the two fields. Remember, a link to the map is in the description box below. we're going to walk along this lovely little covered track, flanked by hazel, Corylus aviana for anyone who's interested, and oaks, and of course holly, lots of holly. You may be able to hear a tractor working the fields next to us. So at the end of the path, you're going to come across a gap in a bank and then a road. And we're going to turn left. This is a high banked road. Remember to stay on the right, except when going around corners. And you can see the makeup of the soil in the side of the road. This is brilliant. You've got a perfect view of the strata soil. So you've got the really heavy clay undersoil leading into the humus, the topsoil, and then right into the roots of the grass above. It's just like Essex in a nutshell. Your clays going into your pebbles. So these could be glacial pebbles because this is a glacial valley, and then leading up into your softer soils, but there's still good clay content in those. And then actually just above that, you've got a layer of super improved soil. And then of course on top of that, you've got your humus, which is where all your grasses have died down and been rolled in. As you walk down the drive, you'll get to a turn on your left to Impey Hall. Ignore that and carry on straight along the road, lined with oak trees. In the summer, they'll be solid green. Right now, they're not. And it's a bit chilly. But this is a quintessential Essex path. A slight hill here and there, but fairly flat. Oak trees to either side and a roundabout, and fields. After walking down the drive into the farmyard, you walk up amongst some rather nice new barns and follow the very clearly marked footpath sign through the gravel and down across the field. So after walking up between the barns, you're going to walk across the field. And this field, the farmer has done us a favour. Our footpath is clear. It is straight ahead. We're going to cross it. And if you are here in the winter, just be warned, we are in Essex. And as we saw earlier, our topsoil is quite clayey. So your boots will get clag. You'll get mud stuck to them and they get heavy. After crossing the field, keep to the footpath. There's a lovely little metal kissing gate. There's a little bridge over a stream. Once you walk through the gate, if you unbolt it, make sure you shoot the bolt back into place. Even if it is a bit of work, keep landowners on side. So when you're a kid at school, you get taught the Green Cross Code. Well, there's also the Countryside Code, and it gets changed regularly. It used to be shut gates behind you. Doesn't say that anymore, it's changed slightly. The key things to it really are though, take only photographs, leave only footprints. If you open a gate, close a gate. If a gate's already open, don't touch it. There could be a good reason. Follow the footpath across the field. There's signs on all the telegraph poles. In the winter, be careful because the fields get wet. Essex is amazing that you can get puddles on the top of hills. It's just the way our clay works. So as you walk up the hill, you come to a ditch, and this is absolutely typical of post-World War I tractor takeover. What do I mean by that? After World War I, tractors became more usable. Farmers would buy them and use them on their fields, which is obvious, that's why they bought them. But to make it more efficient, fields went from being fairly small places to big. And so hedgerows were grubbed out or gaps were barged through. And look here, this whole area here down this ditch has had all the hedgerow removed. This point here would have been a crossing point for a tractor to get from that field to this field. This would have been 3 fields, maybe 4, perhaps even 5 fields. In the medieval period, fields were small because they were designed to be worked by man and oxen. You wouldn't even necessarily even own your own plough. Indeed, last Monday was Plough Monday. And it was a day that the farm would start using the plough. But you may not have owned a plough, so the Sunday, the priest would go out and bless the ploughs to help them get a good harvest, to push to get them working. And on the Monday, they'd start the work. But you, as a poor farmer, may not own a plough, but the village would, potentially, and you would borrow the village plough. You'd pay into a scheme to pay for it. Of course, if it was a rich farm, you might have 2 or 3 of your own and forget everyone else. But it's all about the barter system. It was everyone worked together. It still happens today, maybe less so ploughs, but not all farms will own combine harvesters. They might pay into a co-op, or they'll have a neighbouring farm down the road. They'll come and do your combining and you go and do their hedge trimming or whatever. It still happens. And it's one of those nice things about the countryside is how these schemes grow and carry on. Right. Footpath sign says that way. So this is a bit of a quandary, it's a quagmire. Now, technically the rules are you follow the footpath. The footpath is through the middle. What a lot of people do is then walk further into the field. The problem with walking further into the field is you extend the quagmire, and before long people are walking so far into the field the farmer gets annoyed and they can actually put in a request for removal of footpath because of damage to the field. And it happens. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens. So what I prefer to do is actually look at where the footpath is and look at the safe route. If there's grass, generally speaking, I can step on that because it's got roots, but then you've got a vehicle track here, but it's higher here than there, so that's okay. And just take your time. Look where you're walking and you'll be fine. No problem at all. After crossing the field, we're crossing the bridge into a field of donkeys, or donkey. Again, if you open a gate like I'm doing here, close the gate. If you unbolt it, bolt it. So once again, we get to the end of the field. These are lovely fences, lovely gates, and we're going to walk along that driveway. And it's at this point you start realising how much mud you picked up on your feet. So after walking down the drive from the farm, you go past two big gate posts and you come to two gaps in the hedge. Now these aren't footpaths, but they are quite interesting. And they're marked with posts. And it says no digging. You aren't allowed to dig here, you aren't allowed to dig there. And that carries on all the way down and actually goes through the centre of stock as well. And this is an oil pipeline. This pipeline goes probably all the way from Canvey Island, or the coast of Essex, all the way through to some refineries. I don't know where the refinery is, because to find it you'd have to follow that path all the way along. But these are some of the things that you find when you're out walking. Random little points of interest, as it were. Now, in an emergency, we can actually use these as a reference point of, well, it's on the pipeline. These are all mapped. And if we look over the fields, we can see a white post with an orange cap. That's so that when the farmer's out ploughing, he can see where the pipeline runs and doesn't accidentally put a hole in the pipeline, because that would be bad and like lots of paperwork and expensive. When you reach the end of the road, don't turn right, turn left and go down a small footpath. This small footpath runs down the side of the golf course. Stick to it and you won't get hit by any stray flying balls. We're now walking on part of the St Peter's Way. This is a long distance trail that links Ongar to St Peter's on the Wall, Bradwell-on-Sea, where we've been previously. When you reach a small T-junction at the end of the golf course next to a gas pipeline marker, you're carrying on the St Peter's Way straight ahead. Towards the end of the golf course, you're going to come to a set of stairs. Last time I walked up these stairs, there was a few holes and no handrail. Thankfully, since then, because that was September 2019, they've been repaired. No, it wasn't September 2020. September 2020, just after lockdown. They've been repaired, so they're quite nice actually, because you come off of the golf course and you're presented with quite a nice place to walk up. Take your time. If you're muddy footed, don't scrape it off on the edge, front of the steps. Do it on the edge. If you do it on the edge, you're not going to scrape it off where someone's about to walk and slip over. When you get to the top of the steps, you're going to turn to the left and head up a small hill. Be careful, it is slippy. Once you get to the top of the hill, you meet the road. And here you're once again going to turn right, following the St Peter's Way. When you get to the end of the Greenwoods Farms driveway and you meet the main road, you're going to cross over and turn right. Be careful and look for cars, because this is quite a busy road and the last thing you want to do is get squished. On the other side of the road there's a proper footpath to walk down. As you walk down the footpath you'll pass the Greenwoods Hotel on your right and a turning on your left. That turning we're going to take is next to the new village hall, and opposite the village hall is the Baker's Arms pub. After getting off of Stock Road, walk down Common Road, cross over down the pavement as much as you can, past the Baker's Arms, past the village hall on your left, where there's additional car parking. So if you couldn't get into the church, hop down here. After Village Hall, the footpath continues on the opposite side of the road. After walking past the cricket pitch, you're going to reach Mill Walk. This is still marked as part of St Peter's Way, and this is where we're going. After walking down Mill Walk, you enter to quite a nice wide ride, open space. Once you get to the end of that lovely open green track, you'll meet a gate. We're going to turn left here and walk up to the Windmill. This is all still part of St Peter's Way. We'll say goodbye to that at the Windmill. So this is Stock Mill, or Stock Windmill, or Stock Tower Mill. They're all true. It's one of 3 mills at one point were here, operated by one baker. And this one was built in about 1816. It's not the first mill on this site. There was probably others prior to that. And it's quite a lovely example of a tower mill. This is interesting with tower mills, whereas a post mill, the whole mill rotates, which we'll see at Mount Nessing, which is a couple of videos time. With this, only the top rotates, and it's powered by the small fan on the back, which doesn't currently have any sails on it. And it's able to do a lot more work because you aren't turning the whole mill round. It's more efficient. This one was actually converted to petrol power in the late 1920s, early 1930s, and that's what the 2 black rings on the outside are for. They're wheels that were driven by a band from the petrol engine to turn the millstones inside. It's a very simple looking mill from the outside, and in fact you can actually see the sets of stairs going up internally where the windows are. If you want to visit the mill, have a look on the Essex County Council website and it will give you all the details there. After leaving the mill, we're actually going to turn left again and walk back towards the road. When reaching the sign to Downham, Ramsden Heath and Stock, we're going to turn left toward Ramsden Heath. We're just walking out of Mill Lane and we're about to walk down Mill Road. We're going to walk down this road for a little way. We actually stayed on the left for a vast majority of it because there's a verge we could walk on. It's safer to walk on a wide verge than it is to walk on the road. You've just got to be sensible. So as you walk down the road from Stock, you're going to come across a well-hidden footpath. It's just next to a little patch of woodland. There is a concrete footpath sign just there that's been knocked over at some point, and you're walking down next to a rhododendron and into this little woodland. When you get to the end of the footpath, you're going to turn left towards Maidles Lane and then turn right, follow it down. Walk down Maidles Lane for a little while and you'll find a footpath on the right. As you walk down this footpath, just beware it is someone's private back garden. So we stop recording at this point just till we get out the garden. Once you meet the road, turn right along it and head up the next footpath that turns left off the road and towards the church. As you walk along the path, you'll come across a turn on your left. Ignore that, it goes over a broken stile. Carry on towards the metal kissing gate and walk through that. The hornbeam next to the kissing gate is quite interesting as well, quite gnarly. When you reach the corner of the 2 sections of metal fencing, you're going to turn left through what was once a kissing gate but is now just a hanging gate, and then turn right straight after. After walking past the little meadows, you'll get to a kissing gate and into the churchyard, the back of the church. We're nearly finished. We're getting towards the car park now. But before we stop the walk and finish, a little trip to the church and to look at some of the history based upon it is well worth doing. Well, thank you for joining us today's walk. Please come and visit Stock, park in the car park, visit the village and have a look around. Our thanks as always go to Martin for doing the video stuff and the editing, and for you for joining us on this lovely walk, and also to all the landowners and farmers who actually make these walks possible by actually cutting and looking after footpaths. We'll be back again soon with another walk somewhere, hopefully not in Essex, but I say that every time. But until next time, thank you for joining us. Come visit us again, and we'll see you again on The Walker's Guide. Oh, and do us a favour, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this amazing video with all your friends. Bye.